Kelly adjusted the duffel bag slung over his shoulder. It was heavy, laden with the weight of his fractured life. He glanced back at the house, a looming shadow in the pre-dawn light. This house, his sanctuary, now felt like a gilded cage.
Inside, 10-year-old Terry and 8-year-old Timmy slept, oblivious to the storm brewing beneath their roof.
His sons. Or were they? The thought pierced him like a shard of ice. He thought of Jillian, their laughter-filled first date, their vows whispered under a canopy of stars. How had their love story devolved into this twisted, painful saga?
Kelly shook his head, banishing the memories. He had to leave, for his sanity, for his future.
The floorboards creaked, a betrayal in the silence. Kelly froze, his hand hovering over the doorknob.
Jillian. Even in sleep, she possessed an uncanny sixth sense, always aware of his every move.
He pictured her, nestled amidst the silk sheets he worked tirelessly to afford. Her blonde hair, usually a cascade of sunshine, would be fanned across the pillow, her face an angelic mask, a mask hiding a web of lies. He had to leave, had to escape the suffocating truth that clung to him like a shroud. With a deep breath, he turned the knob, each click a hammer blow to his resolve. 6 months ago, the seeds of doubt were sown. Jillian, once content as a stay-at-home mom, landed a high-powered job at ABC Technology.
Her demeanor shifted, her laughter replaced by a brittle edge I couldn't penetrate. I found myself on the periphery of her life, a spectator to her ambition.
Late nights at the office became the norm, her phone a constant companion, her gaze distant and guarded. Then came the whispers. Colleagues mentioning late-night meetings, lingering glances exchanged with her new boss. At first, Kelly dismissed them, clinging to the remnants of their love. But doubt, like a persistent weed, had taken root in his heart. One night, fueled by weeks of suspicion, Kelly confronted Jillian. He had been noticing the subtle changes in her behavior, the way she would avoid his gaze, the late-night phone calls that she would quickly end when he entered the room. It was as if a dark cloud had settled over their once happy home. The fight was explosive, their carefully constructed facade crumbling like dust. Words were thrown like daggers, each one cutting deeper than the last. The air was thick with tension, and the sound of breaking glass echoed through the house, symbolizing the shattering of their relationship. She denied everything, her voice laced with ice, her demeanor colder than he had ever seen. It was as if she had become a stranger overnight, someone he no longer recognized, but her eyes betrayed her. They were filled with a mix of guilt and turmoil, emotions she couldn't hide, no matter how hard she tried.
That night, the first blow landed. It wasn't a physical blow, but it struck deep within my soul, leaving a wound that would take a long time to heal. Not a physical one, but a blow to my soul. The realization that the woman I had loved and trusted could betray me so completely was almost too much to bear. The woman I loved, the mother of my children, had looked at me with a cold, calculating indifference that chilled me to the bone. It was as if all the warmth and love had been drained from her, leaving behind only a shell of the person I once knew.
He started to notice the subtle discrepancies, the whispered phone calls, the unexplained absences. Each one was a piece of a puzzle that painted a picture he didn't want to see. And then, the gut-wrenching realization. Terry's eyes, a shade of green, so like her boss's, a detail that had seemed insignificant until now. Timmy's mischievous grin, a mirror of a man he'd only seen in photographs. The pieces finally fell into place, and the truth was undeniable. The betrayal was complete, and the life he thought he knew was shattered beyond repair. The DNA test was a formality, a confirmation of the truth that gnawed at him.
I hadn't planned to tell Jillian, not yet. I needed time, needed to process the betrayal that had shattered my world.
But she knew, the way her eyes narrowed when he hesitated, the way her hand instinctively flew to her face, a practiced shield against his accusations.
The violence that erupted that night was terrifying, a glimpse into a darkness I never knew she possessed.
He bore the bruises, both physical and emotional, as a badge of shame. Shame for his blindness, for the years he spent living in a lie. In the aftermath of the revelation, Kelly grappled with a maelstrom of emotions. The news had hit him like a freight train, leaving him reeling and struggling to find his footing. He felt as if the ground beneath him had crumbled, leaving him in a free fall of despair, rage, betrayal, and a profound sense of loss. These emotions swirled within him, each one vying for dominance. He couldn't believe the extent of Jillian's deceit, and the trust he once had was shattered into a million pieces. But above it all, a fierce protectiveness for Terry and Timmy. They were his world, his reason for pushing through the pain. He knew he had to be strong for them, to shield them from the storm that was tearing their family apart.
They were innocent, caught in the crossfire of their parents' shattered marriage. Their bright eyes and innocent smiles were a stark contrast to the turmoil that raged within him. He couldn't let them see the depth of his anguish. I will shield them, ensure their lives aren't irrevocably damaged by Jillian's deceit. He vowed to protect their innocence, to keep their world as stable as possible despite the chaos that had erupted.
He played the part, the dutiful husband, the loving father. Every day he put on a brave face, engaging in their games and laughter, even when his heart was breaking. He knew that his presence and love were the anchors they needed. He swallowed his resentment, forcing a smile for their sake. Each smile was a mask, hiding the pain and anger that simmered just beneath the surface. He couldn't let them see his true feelings, not when they needed him to be their rock. But the charade was exhausting. Each day a heavy weight on his soul. The effort to maintain the facade was draining, leaving him feeling more and more depleted with each passing day. He wondered how long he could keep it up.
Dad, can you help me with this math problem? The simple request brought a momentary reprieve from his thoughts, a chance to focus on something tangible and immediate.
Yeah, and can we play catch later? The hopeful look in his son's eyes was a reminder of the joy and innocence that still existed in their lives, despite everything.
Of course, kids, let's finish this homework first. He knew that these moments of normalcy were crucial, both for them and for him. They were a lifeline, a way to stay connected to what truly mattered.
His face was drawn, a forced smile plastered on his lips. The weight of his burden was visible in the lines etched on his face, but he carried on, driven by his love for his children and his determination to protect them at all costs. Jillian, meanwhile, seemed to revel in her newfound success. She had worked tirelessly for years, climbing the corporate ladder with determination and grit. Her efforts were finally paying off, and she was basking in the glory of her achievements. Her promotion came with a hefty salary, a corner office, and a sense of accomplishment that she had longed for. The recognition from her peers and superiors was intoxicating, and she felt on top of the world. However, with her success came a growing arrogance that grated on Kelly's nerves. The humility that once defined her was slowly being replaced by a sense of superiority.
Look at this, Kelly. Another client dinner tonight. Aren't you proud of me? She would often boast about her achievements, seeking validation and admiration from those around her.
She flaunted her accomplishments, her designer clothes, and the luxurious lifestyle that came with her new position. The material possessions seemed to matter more to her than the relationships she once cherished. Her expensive dinners with clients became a regular occurrence, and she relished the attention and prestige that came with them. The woman he married, the one who cherished family dinners and bedtime stories, was gone, replaced by a stranger obsessed with climbing the corporate ladder. The warmth and affection that once filled their home were now overshadowed by her relentless ambition.
Mom, can you read us a story tonight? The children missed the nurturing presence of their mother, longing for the simple joys of bedtime stories and family time.
Yeah, please, Mom? Their innocent pleas often went unanswered, leaving them feeling neglected and unimportant.
Not tonight, boys. Mummy has work to do. Her work always seemed to take precedence over her family, and the boys were left to fend for themselves.
He saw the toll it took on the boys, their innocent questions about her absence and their longing gazes when she was too busy to play a board game or read a story. The joy and laughter that once filled their home were now replaced by silence and sadness. Their longing gazes when she was too busy to play a board game or read a story were heart-wrenching. The boys tried to understand, but their young minds couldn't grasp why their mother was always too busy for them. His resentment simmered, fueled by her indifference to their needs. He struggled to balance his own career and the responsibilities of parenting, feeling increasingly isolated and frustrated. The price of her success was becoming too high for their family to bear. The tension in the house was palpable. A tightrope stretched taut between Kelly and Jillian. Their every interaction was a minefield, each word laced with unspoken accusations. The confrontation, when it came, was inevitable.
Where do you think you're going?
Jillian stood in the doorway, her face contorted in a mask of fury, her eyes blazing with a dangerous light. She knew, somehow she'd always known.
Away from the lies, from the betrayal.
The words hung in the air, a death knell to their marriage.